Hey guys, welcome to the Killing the Tea podcast. This is Gare,
And Kate.
and we are going to be discussing all things chills, thrills, and kills. Kate and I are going to be talking about our favorite books, TV shows, and movies that are in the thriller or crime fiction genre, as well as some reading habits and other items related to how we met on Bookstagram that will fit in with this podcast. So, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you have fun and get totally terrified. So, Kate, great.
What do I like the most?
Yeah, what's your jam? We have a lot in common, but there's also like a
Yes.
lot that you enjoy
Yep.
that doesn't always hit the spot for me. So I'm
Right.
very curious on like what the
Yeah.
perfect thriller is for you.
I know.
Dum dum
S-
dum.
No pressure. But as I was looking through, I was like, what are the ones that do like stick in my head the most? Like maybe that was what I could use as I don't know, my way to differentiate my favorite. I do love when there is satire going on and it's
Mm,
also, or speculative fiction, but it's still a really good thriller.
yeah.
So, like Kismet that I've brought up multiple times, like I
Mm-hmm.
do love that. And that's also why sometimes I love sci fi. So, that's like something different that I do enjoy is sci-fi thrillers, and it's often because there's like typically some social commentary like baked into a lot of them. So I think that's why I like those.
Okay.
And then I do like spy thrillers every now and then.
You are
Um
an adventurous woman.
I am so adventurous from my couch. Like I've been
I'm not
so many
taking any risks, but
places.
my Kindle does all of
It does all of
it.
it for
I love
me.
that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's not even like I read a ton of them, but every time I read a good one, a spy thriller, I'm always like, man, that was just so fun. That's how I always feel at the end of it. So I definitely read those, but then like everything you said, sometimes I love a book and I forget that like technically there even was a serial killer aspect to it. Cause like it didn't seem like the most obvious thing. And then I started paying attention to it and I realized how many books have serial killers in them. And I've been acting like, I don't know, like it's not the main thing I read. But it is. It is.
I love so yeah, I love I love things about serial killers, but
Mhm.
I love how many times I can say love in 1 minute.
You're getting there.
Yeah.
You really love
Um
it.
I do. I love it, but I think that it leaves open a lot for an author to play with. Like I don't know if you've
Hmm.
read the book Find Her by Lisa Gardner.
Oh, maybe I have. I don't know. I'll
It
have to look.
it plays on that stereotype of your serial killer being like the
Oh no, I haven't.
deranged trucker.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But the story is basically about a woman who is held captive by the serial killer trucker
Mm-hmm.
for like 472 days, I believe.
Wow. You're right. That is a
And
great memory.
I I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed.
Nice.
Um, and she like it's just flashbacks of what it was like in captivity with him for that duration and also what
Mm-hmm.
her life is like after.
Nice. I
And
like
she's
that.
kind of like wrapped up in possibly related to a current murder. And so
Okay.
this detective, because it's the Dee Dee Warren series, but like you
That's what I
can
was
read
gonna
this as a
ask.
standalone. You can read this as a
Nice.
standalone and continue from there. That's what I've done.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Um, but they wonder if like maybe all of the angst and the trauma like turned her into like a vigilante.
Oh, I love that.
So there are a freaking ton of elements and like a lot of layers to that story,
Yeah.
but it is so good because you get that aspect from the serial killer. Well,
Mm-hmm.
not aspect, like not his like point of view or anything, but like you
Okay.
get like what traumatized her so much, but it's more about like her character journey, what she's
Nice.
been through, and like what she's kind of what the rest of her life is going to be like, basically.
Nice.
So I
That's
love,
really cool.
how you can do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also like your kind of more stories that can, feature a serial killer as a plot device, like Jar of Hearts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, nothing against it, but like, I will question people's taste in books if you read Jar of Hearts and you're not like that was not one of the best things I've ever read, because that book is
Right.
so goddamn good.
Yeah. And it
Like
fits.
all the criteria that I love in
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. I was like, yeah, it
it's
fits everything.
so good. And it's one of those books that like I my jaw dropped a lot during that one. A lot. Have you read it?
I haven't read it.
You haven't read Jar.
I haven't read it.
Did you read? I mean, it's my favorite Jennifer Hillier, but like I just think that
I
her
know.
writing gets stronger with each book. So it's
Uh-huh.
not like nothing against it.
Mm-hmm.
Her books after Jar of Hearts have all been incredible as well. And
Yeah.
but it's just it holds such a special place in my heart
I
because
know. I know you've mentioned it.
there's
And that
so
was one
many elements to it.
I didn't really hear about it in 2018 for some reason.
You'll
But I've had it on my list because I know you love it.
Yeah, be I think you'd be blowing up my phone a lot during
I
that one and
probably
being like,
will
holy
be.
shit, I can't believe this just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That one,
Okay. I'm adding
um,
it, bumping
Please
it up
See
here.
Us by Caitlin Mullen.
Yeah. You've mentioned that one, and I have that on my list now too.
The thing I love about that one is obviously like spoiler free, but I don't want people to panic and like hit the pause button.
Right. Right.
um, the one that I love about that is that she writes these like chapters called the Janes, and it
Mm-hmm.
gives you a look into what the victims were like, not just like being like, oh, here's Jessica, like she was, victim number one. Here's like Pamela, she was victim number two. Like you
Yeah.
know what their lives were actually like, and it doesn't focus that much on the serial killer. Like,
Yeah.
obviously when people read it, like they'll find out, but like it
Mm-hmm.
focuses on his victims and like their families and stuff like that. Kind of like
Yeah.
Notes on an Execution, but not as like in depth.
Yeah.
And that one is perfect for fall because it is so spooky and scary and just
I know. I have
fantastic.
so many that I need to read that are like ones that you have read in the past years that I haven't. And then I like also need to book podcast guests. So I'm always torn.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to
But
try to get
thankfully,
you
since we
into,
do this one, I can. That was the nice thing.
yeah,
Like it used to be, I was always trying to focus on that. But
I want to get you into Lars Kepler. That's what I want to do.
mm-hmm. I'd read, I know, I added those last week. And then you had me going down a Nordic noir rabbit hole because I was looking it up that week. So that's probably why I was very excited to say it at the
Did
beginning
you,
of the podcast.
yeah, I always recommend for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Lars Kepler, I recommend starting off with The Sandman, which is the fourth book, and going from there.
Okay.
Because you like will get more character development, and there's also like kind of like things mentioned from previous stories. So if you pick it
Okay.
up on like The Sandman, which is book
Okay.
number 4, then and you go from there, I don't think that you'll be disappointed. I don't think anybody will be disappointed because they're
Yeah.
fantastic.
Okay. I
Fantastic.
do have that one on my list. And there's something
I'm
else that
curious
you
which one you read.
maybe I haven't. I thought I had.
Maybe
I
you
don't know.
dreamed it.
I don't see that I did. I thought I did. I'm wrong.
Maybe it was another Nordic
Or it
noir.
was just on like my TBR forever and I just didn't read it.
Perhaps.
It could be
Perhaps.
that because
I,
his name sounded familiar. That's what made me think I'd read one.
yeah. Yeah. It's a writing duo.
Oh,
Lars Kepler
never
is a
mind.
writing duo, and I love their story. They wrote children's books together,
What?
but they were arguing a lot. I don't want to say arguing a lot, whatever. They
Just
were like
disagreeing.
not, yeah, they were disagreeing and like
Right.
not like communicating the best or whatever the case may be, writing
Yeah.
children's book. And now they started writing like super dark crime fiction together and like said
Yeah.
that they like barely like have a disagreement.
That is
So I
so
just like
cool.
I love that they were trying to write children's books together and
Yeah.
like couldn't see eye to eye, and then now they're writing like super dark twisty serial killer books, and like okay, like now we like are getting
Right.
along fantastically and they're so
I
good.
love that. That's really cool.
I
Yeah, I'm
think you will
excited
love
for
it
that.
because
Yeah, because you
atmospheric.
said Stalker, the next one was really, really good. That was the other one you told me about.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the thing is like some things that happen in like the Sandman might
Mm-hmm.
be referenced in like a next book. So that's why I always say like start with Sandman, go on from
Nice.
there.
That's good to know.
Stalker is like it kind of reminds me. Did you read The Chestnut Man?
No, but you told me about that one too.
That one's really good. But Stalker is so freaking scary
Oh, okay.
because it's about like the police force in Sweden getting a video of a woman like from the stalker. Like the stalker's taking a video of her while they're stalking her. And before they can find out who she is, they find her murdered. And then like when they find her murdered and they're like, obviously we need to investigate this homicide, they get it like a video of another woman. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of that like, oh my God, like
Oh
we need to
my
find out who she
gosh.
is before, she is
Yeah.
attacked.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's super, that's like one of my like, I don't want to say my biggest fears because like I don't think anybody would stalk me because I'm like boring as shit. But
Me too.
that's like one of like the scariest things to me is like being watched when you don't know it. Like
Yeah.
being in like kind of like The Watcher, like the movie.
Yeah, that's what it was making me think of.
Yeah, like that thing of being in the grocery store and not knowing somebody's watching you, or
Mm-hmm.
like there's like some like statistic that's like all over like TikTok or Twitter or some shit like that. And it's like in your lifetime you walk by like 5 or 10 serial killers, just
Oh
like
my
passing them
God.
on the street. And I'm like,
Oh my God.
obviously, my little like thriller loving heart is just kind of like, I wonder if I was like, oh, that person's a creep, or like they're giving me serial killer vibes.
Yeah.
Because I also like love kind of that thing too of like Bret Easton Ellis's like American Psycho,
Mm-hmm.
where like in comparison to Find Her by Lisa Gardner, where the serial killer is that stereotype of a deranged trucker or like a
Mm-hmm.
creepy janitor or some shit like that. You have American Psycho, where the serial killer is like young, attractive, handsome, beautiful man who works
Yes.
on Wall Street. Like
Yeah.
it's like almost like finding out your dream man is a
Mm-hmm.
monster, kind of like how I felt with Army Hammer.
Oh my gosh. Have you seen the doc about House of Hammer?
I haven't. I don't have Discovery Plus.
Oh, okay. I thought it was on Amazon for some reason.
It very well could be. I keep seeing ads for it on Discovery
Okay.
Plus. I had a trial for Discovery Plus because
Mm-hmm.
another thing I'm obsessed with
Mm-hmm.
is How to Catch a Predator
Oh yeah.
or certain things like that. And there is a docu series on Discovery Plus. I don't remember the name of it, but it's about this like, well, it's this woman. She looks a lot younger, but she has a team of people that work with her and they like help her like with makeup and filtering her pictures and stuff to look like underage girls, and she tries to lure men to like catch
Whoa.
them. And
Whoa.
but I mean it's like a team. Like she has people like they have boards for like all of the characters that she plays. She has like people that help her with her outfits, her like posts and stuff, and she like tries to bring down these men who are actively trying to have relations with teenage girls.
That
Like
is crazy.
I think she's like I don't want to say how old I think she is. I don't I don't want to say how old she is because I don't know for sure, but I want to say she's 30 ish, maybe
Yeah.
older, because I think she has a daughter of her own as well, or children.
Okay.
Um, but they like with makeup and everything make her look at times like she's 14 and she can play it
That is
off.
crazy. That's really
So
cool though. I want to
it
talk to
is
her.
so right, right. Like,
Mm-hmm.
good for you. I'm absolutely like obsessed with you doing this because I used to
Mm-hmm.
love How to Catch a Predator because there's something
Yeah.
oddly comforting. As much as you're like, that's disgusting that these people feel that way or
Right.
have whatever reasoning they think in their mind makes sense for them to for it to be okay for them to do things like this.
Yeah.
It's so satisfactory to see a show like that
Yeah.
and know that there's one less
Yeah. Yeah.
disgusting monster like that off the streets.
Right.
You know
That
what
we
I
can
mean?
catch them. Yeah, I agree.
And
And it's always
so,
so sad because they typically were abused themselves. That's like the saddest part of it.
yeah, yeah, that is sad when it's that
Like most of the
situation.
time, it's the reason you think it's okay, I guess, is what I've heard.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, there's also like the people that are like, well, this happened to me and I survived. So if it happens to somebody else from me, then
Uh,
you know what I mean? Like
Right.
they're the people that kind of have that like, I was abused, I don't know any better. And then they're the kind of people
Yeah,
that are like, somebody ruined my life with this. So like I think it's okay for me to ruin somebody else's life.
I know. I know. It's messed up. It's literally the worst
Yeah,
thing you
yeah.
can
But
do.
that show is very good. I just can't think of the name of it.
I'll figure it out.
But it's on Discovery Plus, and that is my jam. That was, I
Yeah.
mean, I stayed up way too late, just not a care in the world, just
Yeah.
binging the shit out of it because it was so good.
That's awesome. I need to look
So
for that.
that's, yeah. So I love serial killer thrillers and
Mm-hmm.
I love watching people entrap and catch child
Yeah.
predators.
Yeah.
And I'm also on a Colleen Hoover kick. So I'm really like a well-rounded individual.
You're very well rounded right now. I was gonna
Oh
bring
my
that up
God.
earlier. I was like, but then also Colleen Hoover.
Yeah, Colleen Hoover. I would have expected it because I just love the last time I found an author like this who I like wanted to collect all of their books and I wanted to binge read all of them was Karen Slaughter, and I never
Right.
regretted that.
Yeah.
So now that I'm doing it with Colleen Hoover, like I said, like I think I mentioned this like in a previous episode, but like I'm sure you feel this way too, especially with reading some sci-fi and
Mm-hmm.
some like spy thrillers where it's like
Yeah.
action packed.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a good palate cleanser if you read really dark stuff.
I
You
agree.
know, so like
Mm-hmm.
you might read like Mission Impossible, like stuff like that. I don't know what a
Yeah.
spy thriller is, but
I
like
know. I
action
know.
packed, like you're excited, you're pumped, like we're gonna save the world. Or you might
Yes.
read like some sci-fi and be like, ooh, that was really like thought-provoking and cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read a Colleen Hoover book
Yeah.
about like twisted romance or
Mm-hmm.
oh really, you know what else I've been collecting a lot of is queer romance, little
Yeah.
like meet cutes. If it's a cartoon cover of two men
You're sold.
wanting to fall in love, I'm like, add to cart.
Yeah. Are you excited for that Billy Eichner movie? I can't think of what it's called. Bros?
Bros.
Bros.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
I'm pumped
looks
for it.
good and it's getting really good reviews. I
It
love
is
Billy
getting really good.
Eichner. He cracks my shit up.
I do too. And I also love, because I know there are probably people out there that are going to bring this up now that we've talked about it, but I love how he handled his kind of like little flub with what he said about like streaming
Yeah.
queer movies or
Yeah.
yeah, queer romances or
Yeah. I can't
whatever.
remember exactly what it was. Yeah.
But like I love how he handled that and how like
Mm-hmm.
his apology wasn't just like, oh, I didn't mean to hurt anybody. It was like, listen, like I love these movies. Like
Yeah.
watch them as well. I meant nothing about trying to bring other
Mm-hmm.
people down by being proud of what I've made and like that,
Right.
and like
It's still an accomplishment. Yeah.
yeah, and the people that from what I've seen, like the people like that were in and created some of the movies that people were thinking that he was dissing seemed
Mm-hmm.
to accept the apology as well and realize
Right.
that like I think there was somebody and I can't remember his name and I could be wrong. I could have just like, been like clickbait or whatever. But I think
Mm-hmm.
like somebody was like, I know him personally and I don't like I never thought that he was trying to diss anybody with that
Right.
statement.
Right.
Um so yeah, I'm really
He
excited for
probably
Bros.
thinks that a lot of those movies deserved to not be on streaming. That's even probably some of his point. Like that it could have been a theater
Right.
release and that
Yes.
because of it being like what is the word I can't think of right now? Marginalized, they didn't get to be theater releases.
Yeah, I think that was his intention. Like, listen, like
Mm-hmm.
growing up, in high school, college, like up until the past, honestly, few years, there
Yeah.
were a lot of only streaming movies or
Mm-hmm.
B-rated, like no budget whatsoever, like queer comedies and queer romances. Like,
Yeah.
and there's a series called like Eating Out, and it's like kind of like the gay version of American Pie, and like those
Okay.
movies were corny as hell. But like
Mm-hmm.
that's what if you wanted to watch something that was like queer romance or queer comedy or anything like that, that's like what you were stuck with because
Right.
there weren't a lot of LGBTQ movies being released in the movie theater,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I mean that's
Because it
something.
was Moonlight was uh not what's the word I'm looking for? Shocking to some people when that came out. And that was
Right.
recently.
And like Call Me by Your Name.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And so, but you know what the thing is too, is like nothing against it,
Mm-hmm.
but you can see why Call Me by Your Name and Moonlight were made, even though they were queer movies, is because of, the plot and things. But it's just kind of nice to also
Mm-hmm.
have something like Bros coming out because
Yeah.
it's also nice to have like those comedies that aren't like super deep or artsy or anything
Right.
like that that you can kind of like laugh and have fun
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
um I mean, obviously it's a show, so it's streaming, but like the
Mm-hmm.
reboot of Queer as Folk is
Yeah.
phenomenal. It is
Nice.
so good. I love that so much and I cried.
um,
So that says a lot because I'm not like a big crier, I
Tyler and
guess.
I watched he didn't see Where the Crawdads Sing with me in theaters. And
Mhm.
so we watched it last night and I cried again.
Did
It was
you?
the second time I watched it.
I have
I
things
cried
I
again.
always cry during. I always cry
Yep.
during. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, like, if something happens in my life, I'm really good at not crying during that.
Me too.
But if
Mm-hmm.
I see those freaking ASPCA commercials with Sarah McLachlan singing, like, I will
Oh,
bawl my eyes out.
I know,
Or
me too.
I cry every time I watch Call Me by Your Name.
Mm-hmm.
There's one episode of Queer as Folk, the newest
Yeah.
one that I will always cry during. Sometimes it's an actor or an actress's performance for me that really just
Yes. You can't help
makes
it.
me no, I can't help it
Yeah.
because they're doing such a good job of like making you like them or like want what's best for them, and
Yeah.
then you're having a hard time like departmentalizing that this is a fictional character of
Yep.
that an actor or an actress that you love is playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I I'm known for crying in movies and TV shows. So
I love a good song that makes me cry.
yeah, songs don't make me cry. I mean, I'm sure there are some that would, but I really only listen to rap.
I usually do too. I usually do
Yeah,
too.
nice.
Rap, but there are some R&B songs because I love rap and
Yeah.
R&B.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like for some reason, I think the song Fair by Normani is like one of the
Mm-hmm.
saddest songs in the world when you like pay
I have
attention
to
to the
listen to it.
lyrics.
Yeah, yeah.
And I also like I think that's like my favorite song released in like
Nice.
2022. I'm not even joking. I've listened to it way too much.
Yeah.
Um, and Taylor Swift. Taylor
Yeah.
Swift. People
Miss
say
T
what
Swifty.
whatever they want to. I'm
Yeah.
not talking about Tim McGraw. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about the songs when she was 15.
Right.
Nothing against it. I'm talking about like the folklore evermore kind
Mm-hmm.
of stuff that she did. Like that
Mm-hmm.
cardigan song is so
Yeah.
good. That one
Mm-hmm.
could make her song called Cowboy Like Me.
Uh-huh. I don't know that one.
Oh my God, you'll cry. If
Well,
you want a
I'll
good cry,
I'll
remember that
schedule it when
song.
I need one.
Yeah,
When I have
yeah.
time for one.
When you want a good cry, that's a good song to cry to.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm
That
trying.
used to be
Yeah, I
like
don't
back
know.
in
I'm
my
trying to.
drinking that like back in my like drinking nights. Like I'd go out and have like a good time with my friends, and then I'd get home and I'd continue to drink, but I would play like the saddest shit and just like bawl my
Oh,
eyes out on
oh.
purpose. Because like
Sometimes it
crying
is
is
good.
therapeutic. Yeah,
Yeah.
crying is definitely therapeutic. But like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what else? Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, yeah. I cried that one a lot.
I stopped for a while
Mm-hmm.
around, I think season 30. Like I actually just looked it up a few days ago to see what
Mm-hmm.
if I wanted to pick up Grey's Anatomy again, like where would I have to start off? And I think it's like season
Yeah.
13 or 14.
Yeah.
But I cried every episode of Grey's Anatomy,
I cried
whether it
all the
was like
time watching
the
that
main
one.
cast or the
Mm-hmm.
patient,
Yeah.
just all the time.
Did you ever see WandaVision?
I didn't. Everybody said it was so good, but I have not.
Very unique. Took me a long time to get to because I was just like,
Mhm.
I don't know. And I cried like a baby through the whole entire last
Really?
episode. Tyler was gone, and I was just like, you're like, the dogs were like sniffing my face to see if I was okay. It examined grief, and it was so heavy, so heavy, but it was
I
good.
do you have to watch any of the Marvel movies to get WandaVision?
No,
Okay. Then
it's
maybe I'll
very
give it a
much its
shot.
own thing,
Okay.
and it's really cool. Each episode is in the style of a sitcom from a different decade. And so it starts in black and white in like the 40s
Mm-hmm.
or 50s. And then there's one in the 60s and the 70s, 80s, 90s. And so it also plays on TV tropes, and it's kind of fun.
Okay. I could be into
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I cried
It's
at
really cool.
the last season finale of You. The third season.
I'm trying to remember what happened in that one, but I'm sure I might have. Right. Some version of that. I'm just trying to remember which season is which.
um, if you're caught up, that
Yeah,
would be
no,
your
I
hint.
am.
Um, yeah, the end of that one was just really got
Yeah.
to me. I don't know.
I've cried watching Housewives too, though. Like when someone is genuinely going through pain, like a
I'm
parent
trying to.
died. I've cried before.
I was not laughing. I was trying to stifle a cough,
That's
just
good.
to let you know. Um, no, when you said Housewives at first, I was like, what? But when Vicky found out that her mom died,
That's exactly what I was thinking about.
yeah, I definitely cried during
I felt
that.
so
That was
bad for
so
her.
hard. That was so hard.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the thing is, too, is that when people are housewives on the show, like they do introduce their family. So when things like tragedies like that
Yes.
happen, even
Mm-hmm.
if it's somebody who like, you know, they have that mentality of like they were 90, they had a like long life,
Yeah.
like, you know, long life. It's just watching somebody else grieve
I
in a
know.
way that, yeah,
Yeah,
especially for
that's
her to find
sad.
out on camera, like that was just really
It
hard to
was that
watch.
was like one of the rawest moments I think I've seen on reality TV. Like she was screaming like
She was on the
guttural.
floor. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so sad. I felt so bad for her
Yeah.
because
God.
she kept saying like, what am I gonna do? I don't have a mom. I don't have a mom. And I was just like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that was heavy. It was a heavy
Yeah.
one.
That was really heavy. That was, geez, what happened?
I
To,
know.
how did we go from laughing and giggling like children
I
about
don't
serial
know.
killers and now
And
we're like
Subway.
serial killers in Subway and then we're like, ha ha ha, this is the most fun ever. And then we're talking about the Real Housewives of Orange County
What
and
makes
Vicky
us cry?
Gunvalson. And now like I'm like, all right, well,
You're like, I'm gonna go call my mom.
I'm gonna schedule us some group therapy for couples therapy for Kate
I'm
the Great and
down.
I. Just going through the emotions of how
Life.
the Real Housewives can make us cry, but serial killer thrillers
Yeah.
don't really bother us that much.
No, I cried a
So,
lot with Teresa Giudice too.
oh yeah, yeah. I
That
don't
was
always
all
agree
hard.
with her. I don't always like her. I mean, she's
Mm-mm.
entertaining. I mean, I
She's
don't
so
always agree with
entertaining.
her, but like at the end, I'm still like, well, I like her more than some of the rest of them. So,
I know. I cried
but
more
the
for her kids. That was like
yes, that was
so
hard.
heavy.
That was really hard.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So yeah, crying. We're just
Yep.
healthy. We just experience a range of emotions.
I was just gonna say, I don't remember the last time I cried.
I was last night when I watched Where the Crawdads Sing. Very recently.
I'll have to watch it. I can't find
Yeah.
my book. I think my mother took it, which is
Oh.
very interesting because speaking of memories,
Mm-hmm.
my mother wanted to go see Where the Crawdads Sing, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like let me know when you want to watch it because I want to read the book first.
Yeah.
And she went with her friends to the movie theater and she was like, fuck you, I'm not waiting for you to read the book. Like I'm going to the
Oh,
movies.
she wanted
But
to see it there.
while she was watching Where the Crawdads Sing, that's when I got the amazing Chinese food because I was at home reading Look Closer.
Oh, that's good then. That's
So it's
good.
kind of like evens out, but I she wanted to read the book after and I was like, you're supposed to read the book before. And she was like,
Yeah.
well, I want to
Yeah.
read it. So she really enjoyed it. So
Yeah,
I'll
it's
definitely
good.
have a partner in crime.
Yeah, it's very
But
good.
she tried to like say something about the ending and I was like, don't, because
Stop it.
I haven't read it, I haven't watched it.
Yeah,
I
you
want
don't want to know.
to, but
You don't
I
want to
just
know.
get in such like weird moods. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm like, oh, I want romance. Oh, I want
Yep.
like drama. And then I want like I life was so much. I mean, I'm thankful that I've read so many books that I love in different genres, but
Yeah, yeah.
life was so much easier when all I read was thrillers.
I know. I'm sure that's mostly what I read.
Ugh, my God. And then like I'm like,
I wish I liked more, I guess, but also I have so many books to read anyway.
I love this is how I used to feel about thrillers is
Mm-hmm.
when you had the I mean, even like a thriller, I would compare them to like slasher movies sometimes. Like, but when you have
Yeah.
these characters that survive something really horrible,
Mm-hmm.
even if the ending is like relatively happy, you still have that character that like endured something really traumatizing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm always curious about their life after in the same way that they kind of rebooted the Halloween movies where they
Mm-hmm.
show what Jamie Lee Curtis is like 40 years down the line
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how that affected her. Like that's how I feel about Thriller. So like when I finish a Thriller, I'm like, "Oh, that was so good. I loved
Mm-hmm.
the ending or whatever the case may be, but like
Yeah.
I want to know how like messed up they are down the
Yeah.
line."
Yeah.
But now I'm doing the same thing with romances or other things where I'm like, okay,
Mm.
like yeah, they ended up together in the end, great,
Yeah.
but I want to know what their marriage is like
Yep.
20 years down the line. Like I want to know if they're like still lovey-dovey, like super thankful for one another, or are they like
Yeah.
waking up like being like, you son of a bitch, you forgot to put the clothes in the dryer.
Oh my gosh. Well, you can still love someone and feel that way too.
Oh yeah, but like you know how like I
I
mean
know what
and
you
in
mean.
rom-coms it's kind of like oh like even if he does this like I still think he's perfect and
I
I
don't
love
care.
him and it's worth it because like my last boyfriend was a dirtbag or whatever. But then
Yeah.
like I want to know like do you go from that 10 or 20 years into this relationship and like wake up and be like oh, Steven, you forgot to put the laundry in the dryer again.
Yeah.
He's so quirky or he
Yes.
always does that or are you like I'm sick of this shit if you keep doing it I'm like
I'm throwing it
I'm
out the
throwing
window.
you out.
I think that's a good point. It's also another reason that you would like Where the Crawdads Sing.
Kate, oh my god, your bangs just
It
got
spans her
shinier
whole
teasing me.
life. I know, my halo.
It is going to be my bedtime in a few hours and you want me
Yeah.
to read Brian Freeman and watch Where the
Yeah.
Crawdads Sing.
Yes. Just ruin your sleep. You'll be fine.
I kind of did that last night. I stayed up
I
way
did
too
too.
late. I stayed up way
I
too late
actually just
last
had
night.
bad sleep. Were you on TikTok?
I was on TikTok, but I was also reading. But
Mm-hmm.
then, like, I would pause my reading to look on
Mm-hmm.
TikTok, and then I'd be like, okay, get off TikTok and start reading or
Yep.
continue to read or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I just, lost track of time and was like, okay, I should go to bed now. Then I went to bed and I was like thinking about, what I wanted to talk about today on the
Mm-hmm.
podcast, how my work day was going to go, if I could like wrap up what I was reading in time to start something new. It was
Yeah.
just a lot. It was just,
I get
and
that. I get that.
sometimes my mind does not shut off because, like, I'm like, if I didn't have to work tomorrow, I could stay up until 5 o'clock in the morning reading and
I
doing all this
know.
stuff. And then
I
the
know.
weekend comes and I'm like, it's 11 o'clock on a Friday. I need to go to bed. Who
I
am I?
know. I have that too sometimes where I'm thinking about so many things that I want to do that then I can't even make the decision, and then I'll start reading and my head's thinking about too many things. Doesn't
Hmm.
happen super often for me, but it did happen to me last week and I was like, I don't like feeling this way.
Yeah,
Typically I need to meditate if I'm having that problem.
I need to try meditating or yoga or
Mm-hmm.
something. I
Mm-hmm.
just find that I'm like, I want to accomplish so much. And like, I'm like in my bed and it's like 12:30 and I
I
know I
get
have
it.
to work in the morning, but like, oh my God, I want to do this and I want to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
like, wouldn't this be fun? And I've just been so OCD about trying to keep my life organized and
I get
like
it.
experimenting my creative whatever with like
Yeah.
Bookstagram and like enjoying books that I'm reading and all of these other things that I like have my hands in. What is that
Yeah.
expression? Like all of the
I
pokers in the
think you're
fire or
right.
something, but whatever.
Yeah, there's also that.
But I want to like enjoy all of that. So I'm like laying in bed. I'm like, I don't want to go to sleep right now. I want to do
I
like
get that.
A, B, and C, you know?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I like put off taking my pills because they mean I'm gonna fall asleep. And I'm like, but I need to fall asleep.
I wish. I wish I had pills that worked for me. Like
Yeah. I
Tylenol
use like
PM.
magnesium.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I do like NyQuil, Tylenol PM. Like it does not
Mm-hmm.
knock me out. If I don't have
Yeah.
it for a while, like if I took Tylenol PM or NyQuil right now, it would probably work
Yeah.
pretty well. I would feel like shit tomorrow and be groggy all like tomorrow.
Yeah.
But if I took it again like a week from now, it wouldn't do anything for me.
Yeah. That sucks that your tolerance goes up that fast.
Yeah.
I
So,
have that and my antidepressant knocks me out. That's why I have to take it at night. So
yeah,
I have both of those and then I'm asleep.
like a little angel.
Yeah,
Things
pretty
blowing in the
much.
fan.
Mm-hmm. There is a fan by the side of my bed. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Be sure to follow us on Instagram so that you can keep up with everything we're reading and talking about. You can follow Gare at Gare Indeed Reads, and you can follow me, Kate, at The Girl with a Book on the Couch.